My friend tagged me in a post by a lady of color who had questions about the Women's March, which um, initially the march was dubbed the Women's March, but the organizations that are involved with training us, which are led by a lot of people of color, actually. Um, I'm working with We Are Worth Fighting For. I'm working with Indivisible. I'm working with People's March. I'm working with Planned Parenthood, Women's March as well, which is separate, but they're all of these organizations that I've been training with since the day after the election and the since the 6th. I've been training. I've been on it, babe. And there's a lot of women of color that are training us and helping us and encouraging us. I do not villainize anyone that does not want to be a part of the march. I don't know why people that do want to be a part of the march are being somewhat villainized or looked down upon as if we're not. I don't get it. I really don't fucking get it. But anyway, so this video asked some questions, and the lady wanted people that are not of color to answer. Oh God, where did my notes go? So, she said, "What is the goal and why?" And then, "What are we planning next? And why do we think women of color are not involved?" So, like I said, the people training me mostly are women of color, so I don't know. I can't speak for women of color. My impression is that women of color are tired of carrying the torch, and I get that. Like, y'all aced it. We owe you a gratitude. I have much gratitude for the women of color, um, all colors, not just black. All of us. Just because uh I present as white, I'm not white, and people keep saying I'm white, and I mean, I don't get that. Like, y'all are so fucking rude to biracial people, everyone, not just one color, but like us biracial people are very marginalized too. Y'all just don't get it. Okay, I'm not gonna go off on that tangent. So why am I doing this? I'm doing this because I think women all deserve the right to have bodily autonomy. That's my number one reason. Because my daughter should not have to carry a rape baby. That's my opinion. I don't think any woman should be told what to do with her body because no man is told what to do with his body. Equal rights, right? That's what it is all about. Is equal rights for all. Not just black, not just women, not just uh any other marginalized community you can think of. LGBTQ, we are representing them. We are representing men. We are representing women. We want all people who want to fight for equal rights to be involved. If you are too tired of carrying the torch, then rest, babe. I get it. I'm tired too. I did a lot. I volunteered. I'm not even a Democrat, but I volunteered for the Democratic Party here locally. I did what I could to chip in, and no, it's not a lot, but I did. I've been trying. Like, I've done as much as I could fucking do. Okay, I'm sorry it's not enough. I'm sorry. Now, that's my reason why. My plan? I'm so glad you asked, because when we're training for this march, we're not just training for this march. We're training to build communities. I've been building a community since November. I've gathered people. I've secured a public third space, if you know what that means, for my community group to meet. What have you done besides what you're doing online. So my goal is to represent those who cannot represent themselves. The people that are not able-bodied, the elderly, the people that cannot walk, those people, the veterans, the children that will be affected by the laws that are going to go in place. I feel like maybe you don't get it. And I'm sorry that you don't. And I don't know that I'm the person that will get it into.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving into a viral moment that is stirring up conversations and controversy. A white woman publicly called out black women for refusing to show up at the Women's March to protest Donald Trump. Our words have sparked heated reactions and we are breaking it all down. Let's get into it.
I just saw a video of a white woman saying she was disgusted and outraged at the black women who are saying they're not going to show up to the Women's March in protest of Donald Trump. They aren't going to be doing all of these things. Let me just say to you, white women who feel this way, black women have been doing the damn work this whole time. So while you are wearing blue bracelets and pink crocheted hats, anything that has to do with arts and crafts. Now, I love arts and crafts, but they have been showing up for the marches, even though they know they're the ones who are probably the likely to be arrested. They have been showing up for everything, especially to the most important place, which is the voting booth, the place you, as a group, don't show up. So, when black women say they aren't gonna do that right now, you give them a break. And to the black women, do you? Have a break, relax, chill, watch some TV, drink some soda, drink some wine, do whatever you want, get your nails done. You have earned it because unlike you, white women, 92% of black women showed up. You did not show up. You do not get to be mad at black women for showing up always and refusing to associate with you now.
As for the Women's March, no, we will not be participating. Actually, the Women's March was on November 6th, and many women did not show up for that march. Yeah. Also, for January 20th, we will not be participating in that as well. No. In fact, I have a 90-minute facial and a 90-minute full-body massage. Yes, on a Monday. Yes, I have 180 minutes scheduled to take care of myself on a Monday. Yeah. I suggest those who are also participating in the Great Step Back do the same thing. Treat yourself.
I'm a black woman, not a woman of color. Let's start there. Black woman.
Questions about the Women's March, which initially the march was dubbed the Women's March, but the organizations that are involved with training us, which are led by a lot of people of color, actually. I'm working with We Are Worth Fighting For. I'm working with Indivisible. I'm working with People's March. I'm working with Planned Parenthood, Women's March as well, which is separate, but they're all of these organizations that I've been training with since the day after the election and since the 6th.
Training since the 6th, since November 6th, 2024. Okay.
Since the 6th, I've been training. I've been on it, babe.
My name is Portia. It's in my username. Portia, not babe.
I do not villainize anyone that does not want to be a part of the march. I don't know why people that do want to be a part of the march are being somewhat villainized or looked down upon as if we're not. I don't get it. I really don't fucking get it. But
You don't get it because nobody's being villainized. Nobody's being villainized. You guys just aren't being celebrated. You're not getting a pat on the back. You're not being told how good of a job that you're doing. That's why you couldn't finish your sentence as to what you don't get. Nobody's being villainized. We're just not propping you up.
Get it. I really don't fucking get it. But anyway, so this video asked some questions, and the lady wanted people that
Portia.
are not of color to answer. Oh God, where did my notes go? So, she said, what is the goal and why? And then what are we planning next? And why do we think women of color are not?
Black women.
So,
Black women.
like I said, the people training me mostly are women of color, so I don't know. I can't speak for women of color. My impression is that women of color are tired of carrying the torch, and I get that. Like, y'all aced it. We owe you a gratitude. I have much gratitude for the women of color, all colors, not just black.
There it is.
You know, all of us. Just because I present as white, you know, I'm not white, and people keep saying I'm white, and I mean, I don't get that. Like, y'all are so fucking rude to biracial people, everyone, not just one color, but like, us biracial people are very marginalized too. Y'all just don't get it. Okay?
I can tag that video if you want to watch the rest of it. We're not going to go through the rest of it because it's very much this. So let me just share my thoughts. This video is a huge reason why I don't subscribe to the acronym BIPOC or being called a POC or a person of color. I'm a black woman. And in this video that was responding to questions presented by a black woman, and the question was asked about what you think black women are thinking, and this person Tiffany tiptoed all around saying black woman. That means that you don't feel comfortable saying black women, and I'm not going to trust you. In addition to that, I'm also going to remove myself from a conversation where I have shown up asking a question and I am met with sarcasm, calling me out of my name, and going off on a tangent that has nothing to do with the video. That is not saying this is an echo chamber or that you have to agree with me or that I think that I'm always right. That is none of those things. This is also not me tone policing. This is me disengaging in a conversation because I can see from this point right now, it's not going to be productive, and I value my peace and my time far too much for that. In addition, I asked a question. I asked a series of questions about this march, and I was met with this response from a person that does not know me, that just showed up to my space today, and this is how I was met. So if somebody asks you a question about the thing that you're doing that you think is so great, and you have to respond in such a defensive way, that should give you a moment of pause to say, is this really what needs to be done? Or am I doing something that is self-serving to make me feel better or to make me look like a good person? And lastly, Tiffany, this is just for you. I know that you started following me today, and if you plan to stick around, fantastic. I am going to invite you to take a 30-day pause on commenting. What you do with that invitation is up to you. But if you don't take it and you keep showing up in the way that you showed up in this response here, you're not going to enjoy it here. You're not going to like it here. Because I cut through the bullshit of whatever this was that you showed up with to defend your march, because I'm getting to the root cause. My name is Portia, and I'm a
So I was thinking about the rights that white women are always crying that they don't have. And it struck me. These things sound awfully familiar. I mean, past and present. The right to education, the right to vote, equal pay, reproductive rights, social freedom. So the freedom to be able to express yourself the way that you want to. And a few of these, you can check it off the list of things accomplished by black people without any help from the white women who were begging for it. And while black people were still enslaved and attempting to revolt and get freedom at that point for 200 years, in 1848, white women started the women's suffrage movement, asking exactly for what black people were asking for. while black people were enslaved, meaning Sally Lou was sneaking off to the women's suffrage meeting after finishing her delicious meal that was prepared by an enslaved black woman after calling her the N-word because it was too seasoned. Then goes to this meeting with a group of other white women with the taste of the N-word still on their tongue that they called the enslaved black man who opened the door for them because he looked her in the eye and sat down to cry tears amongst other YT women about how much they're suffering. Annabelle standing up there telling her story. Sorry everyone, I'm having a little pain in my shoulder from whipping my slave earlier. But I'm not crying from that. I'm crying because I have a dream that we will be able to vote. I have no rights. And then here comes Polly to tell her story. And then lifting up a book. I found this under the bed of one of my slaves after I whipped him for his insolence. I went in the house shaking, opening this book and thinking, I don't know what any of it says. I want education. We deserve rights. And here comes Mary. I too have felt like a victim. I walked by a breeding camp of the slaves and it reminded me that I don't have any rights to my own body. I'm being treated like a nigger. Mind you, they're all doing this in dresses made of the cotton that enslaved black people picked. And then here comes black people and knocked out about half of the things they were asking for and benefited from, while black people got basically nothing. And after black people did all the work, the white women got 3 fucking chapters of the women's suffrage movement in everybody's fucking history book. I'm still trying to figure out what the fuck they did except just be racist and hold back the movement that they said they wanted. And now they're asking for help for the same shit today. And we're still in a position of more oppression than they claim to be in, are disrespecting and oppressing the very people who gave them the rights that they enjoy today. And like 100 and something years after they started this feel sorry for myself movement, they're just now trying to progress off the coattail of black movements. Shit crazy.
This controversy highlights the deep and complex history of intersectionality, or lack thereof, within feminist movements. Particularly in the United States, the white women's comment describing black women as disgusting for refusing to attend the Women's March to protest Donald Trump reflects on ongoing tension between mainstream, predominantly white feminism and the experiences of women of color. This isn't just about one march or one moment, it's a part of a larger narrative that has been unfolding for decades, and to fully unpack this, we need to examine several layers. Let's start with history. Feminism as a movement has often been criticized for patronizing the voices and concerns of white women while sidelining women of color. During the first and second waves of feminism, issues like voting rights and workplace equality were central, but they were often framed through the lens of white, middle-class women's experiences. Black women, Latina women, Asian women, and other minorities were expected to stand in solidarity, even when the unique struggles like racial discrimination and economic oppression were overlooked or outright ignored. Fast forward to today, and those same dynamics are still present. Many black women feel that white feminists only want their support when it's convenient, such as during marches or protests, but doesn't reciprocate that solidarity when issues like police brutality, systemic racism, or healthcare inequality are at the forefront. Now let's talk about why many black women are choosing not to attend this specific march. Their decision isn't coming out of anywhere. It's not a matter of laziness or lack of commitment to justice. Instead, it's a deliberate choice born out of frustration and a sense of self-preservation. One of the primary criticisms of mainstream feminist movement is the lack of intersectionality. Intersectionality, a term coined by scholar Kimbrem Scroshin, refers to the interconnected nature of social categorization like race, gender, and class. and how this intersection creates overlapping systems of discrimination or disadvantage. Black women live at the intersection of both racial and gender oppression, yet in many feminist spaces, their racial struggles are either dismissed or treated as secondary to gender issues. For example, white feminists have often rallied around reproductive rights or wage gaps without addressing how these issues disproportionately affect women of color. Black women face higher maternal mortality rates, low wages, and greater exposure to workplace discrimination. How can they march alongside women who won't acknowledge this disparity? Another reason black women might choose to sit this out in the prevalence of performative allyship within these movements. Performative allyship occurs when individuals or groups outwardly support cause to appear progressive without taking meaningful action. Consider this: how many white women will attend this march actually voted against Trump or constantly advocate for policy that support marginalized communities? The unfortunate reality is that significant number of white women voted for Trump in 2016 and 2020. This disconnect between actions and words is hard to ignore. When black women hear statements like, "We are all in this together," it often rings hollow. Are we truly in this together, or are black women simply expected to put their bodies on the line for causes that won't patronize them in return? Now let's address the reaction to the white women's comments. Calling black women disgusting is just an emotional overstep. It reveals a fundamental misunderstanding of dynamics at play. Her statement assumed that unity should come before accountability. But how can there be unity without addressing the underlying issues of exclusion and inequality? Some social media users were quick to point this out. Many defended black women's right to opt out of march, arguing that it's not their responsibility to show up for movement that doesn't show up for them. Some even pointed to the irony of the situation, noting that white women are often quick to patronize their own comfort over the collective good. On the other hand, here there were people who supported the white women's stance, arguing that unity is essential in face of Trump's policy. They believe that they are sitting out. Black women are contributing to division within the feminist movement. However, the perspective fails to consider the contents and nuisance of the situation. So what is the solution here? How can movements like the Women's March become more inclusive and truly intersectional? Number one, listen to black women. First and foremost, white feminists need to listen without defensiveness. If black women are saying they feel excluded, believe them. Instead of demanding participation, ask how you can better support them. Number two, address racial disparity. Feminist movements must patronize issues that disproportionately affect women of color. This includes advocating for policy reform, healthcare access, and economic justice. Number three, stop centering whiteness. The narrative of feminism needs to shift away from being predominantly about white women's experiences. This means amplifying the voices of women of color and allowing them to lead. Number four, accountability over unity. Unity is meaningless without accountability. White feminists must reckon with their role in perpetuating systems of exclusion and commit to doing better. At the end of the day, this controversy is about more than one woman's comment or one march. It's a reflection of deeper systemic issues with the feminist movement. Black women have always been leaders in the fight for justice, but they shouldn't have to show up for movements that refuse to show up for them. So instead of criticizing black women for sitting out, perhaps it's time for the feminist movement to ask itself, what can we do to make them feel included? Until that question is answered, this tension will remain. What do you think? Let us know in the comments below. Let us have an open and honest conversation about this. Thank you for watching, and let's continue this conversation in the comments below. Let us share our thoughts and perspective with one another. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on this story and more. I will see you in the next video.